Thank you, Grayson Nierenberg, for starting us out with this beautiful music. He will be playing original music for us this morning. Well, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening if you're joining us later online. We are very happy that you are here. It's nice to see so many faces in person. My name is Laurie Carlson. I am a licensed practitioner, a newly licensed practitioner here at the Centers for Spiritual Living Morristown. In fact, September 18th is my installation, so I hope to see you all back then. As a practitioner here at the center. So the theme for this year is Living Everyday Wonder. And for the month of September, the theme is loving work. And so it's very apropos for Labor Day weekend that we're going into work. And so that is what we will be hearing from Susan about. Our beloved Reverend Frankie is away on a short little vacation, much deserved. And so we are blessed to have Susan Niedt, a licensed practitioner from the Princeton Center for Spiritual Living, doing our talk, our opening prayer treatment, and leading us in a spiritual practice. We will have Grayson Nierenberg playing original music for us, and then I will be sharing a poem and the closing treatment. It's not an original today, guys, but it is a beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran at the end of service. So if you are watching online, please use the bubbles, the hearts, share our page, leave comments, let us know that you are there. We love to be involved with you, and someone does read all the comments. And if you have any suggestions about future services, please feel free to leave them there. So the title of Susan's talk today is Transforming Your Workspace, because we know that God is in everything, including our work. So we're very anxious to hear that. And right now, I bring up Grayson Nierenberg to bless us with an original song.
Thank you, Laurie, for that beautiful introduction to today's service. This is original, like she said. It's a wonderful day. Today is a wonderful day. Tomorrow's gonna be a wonderful day too. Today, tomorrow, the day after that, they're all beautiful days too. Just look up say thank you. Just look up and say thank you for the love, thank you for the grace, thank you for the hug, thank you for the space, thank you for the joy, thank you for the peace, thank you for the good in all I see, thank you for the love, thank you for the love. One day is not like another, but that doesn't mean we don't have each other. When we laugh, sing, dance, cry, we're all in this together. When we love, praise, cheer, smile, happy as can be. All we've got to say is God is in me. All we've got to say is thank you for the love, thank you for the space, thank you for the joy, thank you for the space, thank you for the joy, thank you for the peace, thank you for the good in all I see, thank you for the love, thank you for the love.
Thank you so much, Grace, and so beautiful. So I forgot our Namaste practice. So before we welcome Susan with her beautiful talk, I would invite you all to join us in our Namaste practice, which is the light or the divinity in me recognizes and acknowledges the light and divinity in you. So I invite you all to bring your hands together and to turn to someone around you and wish them Namaste. And now we are blessed to have an opening affirmative prayer with Susan Niedt and a wonderful talk.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a wonderful day. Thank you, Grayson, for reminding us. So I invite you to find that quiet space with your eyes closed if that's available, or just look down at the floor. Take a nice deep breath. And as we sit in this consciousness of oneness, I speak these words for each one here and for this blessed service, for everyone that's watching online and for the whole world for that matter, knowing there is only one life. And that life is expressing itself right here and now as this service, as each one here, as the world. And that life is the creative power for good. So goodness reigns, and each one here inspired is always moving from good to greater good, knowing that this divine spark within is the guide. So this moment, this breath, this day is directed, it is guarded, it is guided, it is protected, and each one here is open to receive whatever it is, whatever gem they are going to hear, to know, to learn, to discover, that supports their expansion, that supports their acknowledgement of this beautiful divine spark within each one and everything seen and unseen. Today is a gift. Today is a blessing, and each one sits in acknowledgement of that truth, holding that truth close to their heart, that spark within. And so with great love, with great understanding and compassion, I release these words to the law, knowing it is true. And we all say together, and so it is. And so it is. And so, yes, the title of the talk today is Transforming Your Workspace. And I'm just going to ask you a quick question. Reverend Frankie said to me, Susan, the topic's work. And do you think that I went, wow, what a great topic, yay? Or do you think I kind of went, oh, work, that's too hard. What do you think? Yeah, second. I admit it. And then I started digging a little bit deeper into the idea of work. And I went, wow, this is juicy. This is juicier than love or peace or gratitude, because I was kind of hoping it would be that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's work. And so I got to really dig into the purpose of work, or what is our divine work? What is the work that we are doing? And the first thing I did was I went, of course, to the etymology little, Google. What is work and when did it become work? And it was the 1400s, and it was a French word that meant to task or to do a task. And interestingly, the word labor, as it is Labor Day weekend, there was a little bit of a negative heaviness to the word labor, like hard work. So we've been affirming this hard work for a very long time. And Labor Day, of course, is to acknowledge the hard work that everybody does, and it had to do with the labor unions as well. And interestingly, though, and this is what piqued my interest, labor is also the time between contractions and birth. Isn't that beautiful? So I like to hold that picture, because when I think of the divine, I think that it is always expressing in, as, and through us, but it's always urging us to expand. So much like that contraction, and if anybody's gone through childbirth, I will share with you, it's effort. And the definition of work in the dictionary was some effort that resulted in something. So I'm thinking of God's creative urging, and it's time, because there's usually a little opportunity for growth, like you kind of resist something or you butt up against something, and then it's time to take that next step into expansion, because why are you feeling this way? And how many people here get this kind of when they hear the word work? Come on, be honest. But as we're all students and we're all teachers of this work, right? We know all the principles of the science of mind. We know God is one with all things. We know God is all there is. We know God is the one life. We know the creative process, whatever you put into the subjective mind creates. We know all this. And yet, sometimes we get into these little spaces of resistance, and they help us grow. But we all hold the space of love and light for each other, right? We're namaste. We hold the space of love and light for the world. We do treatments for peace for the world. And then Monday morning comes for those of us that have 9-to-5 jobs. Or, it could be something as simple as emptying the dishwasher, which is my second least favorite task. So much so that my husband does that for me. And I don't even care if he puts things in the wrong place. Because it alleviates that opportunity for growth. I should think about that. Funny thing. So we understand this, but what do we do? What do we do when we have this juxtaposition of, we know all work is God's work. We know that God is all there is. We know that God is omnipresent, so God's that dishwasher. God is the gift of the dishes. God is the gift of my hands that can empty the dishwasher. What do we do? Well, when we get into that space of drudgery thoughts, what is that really about? We are in a place of duality, right? We are forgetting our oneness with God. So what do we do about that? Well, as I said earlier, it's an opportunity to grow. And I'm going to share a couple stories with you to inspire you, and then we're going to do a little practice. You've noticed there's something under your chair, and I appreciate you ignoring it, because whenever there's a magazine under my chair, I want to read it. And we're going to do a little practice about that, a little meditation around that. But first, I'm going to tell you a story about a friend of mine named Sia. Sia I met at a craft fair. She's an ardent expert knitter, and she had the most wonderful job in the world, in my idea, She designed yarn for a very, very bougie yarn company. My daughter lives in LA. She taught me that word, bougie. I'm not 100% sure I used it right. She'll tell me. But anyway, it's just this yummy yarn company. And we became friends, and we would knit together. And one day she said, I hate my job. I really hate my job. And I'm looking at her like she has two heads. But I was an EFT practitioner. If any of you are aware of EFT, I'm an EFT practitioner. And she asked me to work with her. So we sat, we tapped, and then we left with some homework in the metaphysical world, affirmations, right? Put that into the subjective, and it will. So I said to her, well, your mantra, your affirmation for the week is, I love my job. I love my job. And she looked at me like I had two heads, because I looked at her like she had two heads. Okay. And 2 weeks later, we come back for a second, and she says, I still hate my job. I know you were looking for another punchline, right? Well, there wasn't one. So we did another session of tapping, and then we changed the affirmation a little bit, like kind of expanded it, as we do in the law of mental equivalence. Anyway, so I said to her, you love your job and you love all, no, I don't like the people, just telling her. So, yeah. You love your job, you love the people. So she said, okay, I can go with this. And then I added a little bit of I would text her and say, isn't it great? Wow, what a great job you have. She said, yeah, it's a really great job. So she started getting into it. So what does that do? As Ernest Holmes says, brings the feeling into it. I love my job. I really love my job. Yeah, I know you do, Sia. This is great. And so before the next session, I get a phone call. Guess what? What? My boss said I've been so much lighter, and I've been really doing, wow, he was just so astounded at my lightness. And I didn't even ask her what that meant, because we know what that means. And she said, he came in and he said to me that there's a job opening in Utah. And it's a rep. So she always wanted to be a salesperson to sell this yummy yarn. She didn't want to design it. And it's in Utah. Guess who lives in Utah? Her children and grandchildren.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Right?
Wow.
Now, we did not outline. Now, in our teaching, we don't outline. I didn't say, I love my job at Plymouth Yarn. Oh, was I allowed to say that? Probably. I didn't say that. I didn't say that you have to love Mary, John, and David, although we know we all love one another, but we don't outline. So look what happens. She gets a job in Utah with her grandchildren, and it's the job that she wanted, which was a sales rep. Do you think that's a miracle? Mm-hmm. Yes, but it's also the divine expressing. Her urge was pressing against her to go greater, to learn more, and she did. She learned more about love. She learned more about acceptance, and she is still at that job, still in Utah, having a great time. So I want to share with you an Emmett Fox quote about that. Do not dwell on negative things. Doesn't matter what they are, right? Work, a relationship. It's all our work. Our daily life is our work. It's our God-given work. So do not dwell on negative things, but replace them, supplant them with the right constructive things. The law of mind is that you can only get rid of one thought by replacing it with another. So our dear, lovely Sia replaced the idea that she hated work, hated her job specifically, and now she loves her job. And now I think that's pretty miraculous that it only took like 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. That must mean she had really discovered the truth. And even though she's not in our teaching to this day, she still uses affirmations and is getting a deeper picture of all of this beautiful life that we have. Now, we know affirmations are a wonderful tool. It's one of our practices, like gratitude. We use affirmations. And Ernest Holmes, as I said earlier, he says affirmations, the more you feel, the more you believe, the more they will manifest, the sooner they may manifest. Come on in, come on in. And so, let's take it another step. Because I will be honest with you, she didn't, during that practice, get any deeper in terms of her relationship with God on a conscious level, because she really doesn't have that sense of what the world is about, and that's her freedom to choose what she believes. But when we think of the world of the mystic, the world of the mystical, we think of someone who has a deep, connected relationship to the divine. And I know that's what we're all working on, expanding towards a deeper and deeper relationship with the divine. So I'm going to tell you another true story of how we go from affirmations to that more mystical place, where we're in that place of the absolute, where we know the truth is always the truth. Love is always present. Peace is always present. And this is my story. This is my story of my practitioner training. I was in my first year, and I was, I believe, 67 at the time, because I'm turning 70 in 2 weeks. So I was 67. And I'm going to share with you the truth. I'm going to air out my dirty laundry. I think in my 67 years, let's not count the first 5 because I was 5, So maybe 61, 62 years of my life, maybe 50 times I made my bed. Are you shocked? I hated making my bed. So Reverend Karen says, I want you to find a task, work, something that you resist. And how can we transform that? And the first thing that popped into my head was making my bed. No, not going to work every day, making my bed. Isn't it interesting how the smallest, simplest things can bring us to a place of false belief or sense of separation from God? Making my bed. So I said, okay, I love making my bed. I'm thinking of Sia. I love making my bed. And every morning I would make my bed, and afterwards I went, I didn't really love that. I didn't really love that. So what do? We treat. And I hadn't thought of that ahead of time. Oh, I'm only in practitioner training, but I didn't treat. Who here forgets to treat all the time? Yeah? Okay. I'm being honest about that. So instead, I treated, and I said, I want to experience my oneness with God always, no matter what I do. It was that simple. I didn't say I want to love making my bed. I didn't even say that, because in a way that's a little outlining, not really, but. And an interesting thing happened right then and there. A little ditty came to my head. Little ditty. And it went like this. I am making my bed. It is my daily bread. It is a task that keeps my spirit fed. I am grateful for this space that gives me rest. I am grateful for my life. I am so blessed. And what did that little ditty do? Right then and there, I felt God holding me. And think about it. I am making my bed. God is everywhere. I am using my gift. I'm grateful that God is a bed I have to sleep on. It is my daily bread. It is my unification with God. It is a task that keeps my spirit fed. My realization that God and I are one. That divine spark within. My spirit is being fed by this union with God. I am grateful for this space that gives me rest. It gives me rest because it's the Father within me that doeth the work. I am grateful for my life. I am so blessed. How many gifts do we have? So when you look at your work or the places that you're resisting, if you could step away from that and recognize the truth of whatever that is as being God's work. God's work is our work. Our work is God's work. Isn't that kind of true? So does anybody here have no place in the world where they resist? Raise your hand if that's true. Well, a very interesting thing is happening. My glasses keep fogging up. I wonder what that message is about. There's more truth I have to see. Or maybe I'm holding myself back from learning some truth.
You need another ditty.
There we go. So what I wanted to give you, that juxtaposition of my beautiful friend Sia and myself, is that practices are practices. And whatever you choose to do as your practice is the perfect practice for you. But as science of mind expanders in consciousness together, I like to think that, yeah, I rely on affirmations a lot. Believe me. Sometimes that's my first tool. But we know we can take that a step further into the feeling realm, into the realm of really getting a sense of our unity, into that mystical place of being in that absolute sense of bliss with God. And that, I think, is our ultimate work, because then the Father within us doeth the work. And we're just there in our qualities of God being expressed, the light of God, the love of God, loving what I do. I love making my bed now. I actually look forward to it. Okay, I still don't empty the dishwasher. But I will share with you that I still use that ditty because it applies to anything. I'm in rush hour, I'm driving my car, it is my daily bread, and everybody driving their cars, consciousness of God is driving their cars. I mean, that little ditty just follows me. I actually wrote it on a piece of paper just in case you ever want to share it or use it. But we're going to do a little bit of a practice right now to see how we can get into that space. So we don't need the paper yet. Well, so I invite you, however, to bring it up onto your lap and turn it over so that you can not see the little quotes that I left for you as a gift, but you can see the other side that says, I have this intention to do something. Right? Yes, I intend to transform my workspace of. Thank you. Did I bring a copy for myself? No. So we're going to do a little meditation. And then, as it is with our wonderful work, we always have opportunities to practice so we can grow deeper and deeper and deeper into our expression of God. So right now, I'm going to repeat one of my favorite quotes from Matthew in the Bible. And while I do that, I invite you to close your eyes. And just be with this, and pen and paper ready, but we don't need to use it yet. And as you sit there, knowing this is always an opportunity, each moment that we breathe is God's breath moving us forward into deeper understanding. So when it comes to work, here is my favorite Bible quote. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And as we sit there, feeling the meaning of those words, and I will give you rest, we know that is the Father within, there for us, our guide, our shining light, clearing the path, removing the obstacles, eliminating the false beliefs. So as you sit there, I want you to think for a moment of all the wonderful gifts, whatever comes to your mind, gifts that you have maybe because of some work that you have done. Maybe your home because you worked, or maybe a child that you bore. And just feel the depth and breadth of these gifts. Your hands that you can do the work that's available to you. The food that's on the table. Just for a moment, sit in silence and see how many blessings you can count. Let them flow. And now for a moment, step back within yourself. Express gratitude for the gifts. Express gratitude that you were able to think of the gifts, that you were able to acknowledge them and recognize them. And now as an objective observer, knowing that you are guided in this process and knowing there is no judgment ever, just think of a place in your life's work of expressing God, in your life's work of earning money, in your life's work as parents, in your life's work as friends, in your life's work where perhaps you feel some resistance, some place that you just really, to be honest, don't like to do it. And just for that moment, observe it, be with it, acknowledge it. And now I invite you to look at this work, this resistance, in a new way, in a new light, with new eyes. Knowing that that resistance, that work is God's gift to you to expand, to grow. And I want you to send love to that place of resistance. Just love it. Appreciate it. Knowing that God is omnipresent, God is right there, showing you the way. And so as you sit there in your beautiful place of silence and discovery, say thank you to your inner guide for taking you through this process. And when you are ready, bring yourself back to this space, your awareness of your body, and open your eyes. And so, you'll see you have an opportunity. I invite you to participate or not. And my gift to you is that I'm going to treat for everyone. Put you on my treatment list, and you don't have to tell me who you are because the infinite mind knows all. But I invite you to do what I did, do what Sia did. You want to take that space that you have resistance to and create a little intention around it. And then use that as part of your daily work during the weeks to come. Where do you want to intend to change your workspace? So you can write that down or not. I like to write things down. I find it anchors me. But no worries. And if you choose not to do that, that is fine too. In our teaching, we all come in freedom. So take a moment to do that. And what I invite you to do with that is just be aware. You know, the first couple of weeks, Sia did tell me that she was honest. The first couple of days, she didn't even say, I love my job. She kind of avoided it. So you might too, because you might still be in that place of resistance. But it's that creative urging. It's that God knocking on the door of your consciousness saying, let me in, let me in. And if there's anything else that you learned during that meditation, write it down. Maybe you simply learned to love that task that you weren't happy with. And so I will repeat this again. All work is God's work, and God's work is all work. Sitting in that chair is God's work. Listening to the talk is God's work. God is omnipresent, and the creative process is always in play, and we remember that that creative process is completely subjective. So every time you resist, what you resist persists. So this is the invitation to find some place that you resist and let the Father within you do the work. And so, before I leave you, I'm going to read a few words from Robert Bitzer. Just as a reminder, you were born to unfold the divine pattern, just as a seed unfolds the tree. That which is in your consciousness at this present moment determines what will appear. The ability to change your mind is your greatest asset. So the invitation here is to change your mind, change your thinking, change your life in this one particular area where you're feeling resistance. When you've had enough, and Sia had had enough, when you've had enough, you can quit. When you perceive the consequences of negative thinking, you can change to creative, constructive ideas. So I leave you with this thought. I invite you to love your work and let all your work be love. Thank you so much for letting me be here with the privilege of speaking to you today. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. That was beautiful. I really enjoyed that. Very practical as well. This one, I didn't come up with a title for it, but I wrote it the other night. Finished it up this morning, actually. Why can't everything just go my way? I've been dealt these cards, gotta sort through them some way. Sometimes at night, you just have to say thank you for these cards I've been dealt. Thank you for showing me and knowing I can rise above it all. I no longer have to fall apart. Even though I might not feel okay, I know that God's got a plan for me. Hey, hey, don't let yourself get down. Hey, hey, just listen to these sounds. Thank you for showing me the way. Thank you for letting me stay and showing I can rise above it all. I no longer have to fall
finish that for us. So beautiful. And thank you, Susan, for that powerful and beautiful message about loving work and all work being love. And so this morning I'm going to share a poem. I wish I could have an original one for you today, but not today. It's called On Work by the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran. And it's very much in keeping with the idea of loving your work and work being love. And most of you know I was working as a waitress before, and I brought meaning to my work by making every interaction with my customers try to be one of joy and trying to bring a feeling of love and joy to each interaction, and that brought meaning to my work. And so I didn't actually love my job, but I made my job be about love. And I found a way to love doing what I did because I could see the smiles and I could see the joy and I could see the times that it worked. Didn't always work, but the times that it worked brought meaning to it. So there's something to be said in this poem about that. He addresses the same thing. I am going to read it a la David Whyte, the poet David Whyte, in that I'm going to repeat certain lines that I think are powerful and that speak more to our teaching than others. So bear with me on that. So it's called On Work. Then a plowman said, "Speak to us of work." And he answered, saying, "You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune, but I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when the dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. But if you in your pain call birth an affliction and the support of the flesh a curse written upon your brow, then I answer that naught but the sweat of your brow shall wash away that which is written. You have been told also that life is darkness, and in weariness you echo what was said by the weary. And I say that life is indeed darkness, save when there is urge. And all urge is blind, save when there is knowledge. And all knowledge is vain, save when there is work. And all work is empty, save when there is love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God. And all work is empty, save when there is love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself and to one another and to God. And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. and to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. Often have I heard you say, as if speaking in sleep, he who works in marble and finds the shape of his own soul in the stone is nobler than he who plows the soil. And he who seizes the rainbow to lay it on a cloth in the likeness of man is more than he who makes the sandals for our feet. But I say, not in sleep, but in the over-wakefulness of noontide, that the wind speaks not more sweetly to the giant oaks than to the least of all the blades of grass. Mm-hmm. That the wind speaks not more sweetly to the giant oaks than to the least of all the blades of grass. And he alone is great who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. And he alone is great who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. And this is my favorite part. Work is love made visible. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. And if you sing, though as angels, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day and the voices of the night. So, I think that he says it so well. I wish those words were mine. But anyway, so from that beautiful place, I invite you now, this is our time for conscious giving. So from this beautiful place of oneness, of knowing that all of our work is love and loving all of our work, I invite you to reach down into your spirit and to feed our community in whatever way speaks to you. You can text to give, I go to the website and hit donate, there's envelopes here for giving, or you can give by being of service. Perhaps you want to host the next social hour, perhaps you want to volunteer and do something, but please know that the law of circulation works that you receive as much as you give. So give from the inmost part of your spirit, give, and know that abundantly shall you receive. Okay, so we have a website at www.cslmorristown.org. Check us out there. We have a lot going on. We are also on Instagram, thank you, Kat, Facebook, Meetup, Twitter, and YouTube. So follow us, share our posts, interact with us. If you are not on our Constant Connection email list, please leave your information. I will make sure that you are added. We have someone who sends out an email every week with all of our goings on. Some of our announcements, I hope I get all these right. Reverend Frankie has a new Zoom class starting, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. There is going to be a free introductory class on Wednesday, September 21st from 7 to 8. Then the classes will be Tuesdays, 7 to 9, or Thursdays, 10 to 12. It's only a 5-week class, so it's very doable. So I encourage everyone to take a class. Reverend Frankie is an amazing teacher. I have taken all of my prereqs and Prac 1 with Reverend Frankie, and she's always so inspiring. So also we have the Men Who Care meeting. Vern is here today. It is this Saturday, September 10th. It is on Zoom and in person. Vern? Yes. Mine says yes. At 8:30 on Saturday morning. It is also in the Constant Connection. We are participating in the Brookside Wellness Fair. Thank you, Jean Lee, for all of your hard work. That is Saturday, October 1st. So please put that in your calendar and be sure to come join us. It's going to be an amazing day. Once again, September 18th is the date of my installation. So please come back for that. That's going to be a very special Sunday. And I think those are all the announcements. So I am very grateful for all of these wonderful faces here today, for everyone joining us online. And I'm now going to close it, and especially for Grayson Nierenberg's beautiful original music, thank you. And for Susan's inspirational message, and for everyone present, everyone watching. And I'm now going to close us out with a closing treatment or an affirmative prayer. So I invite you all to close your eyes, if you're comfortable doing so, and to hear these words as if they were your own. So in this beautiful space, I know that there is one power, one presence, one divine, creative, intelligent, that is everywhere present, that is in each moment, each person, each breath, each absolute experience is an expression of this divine creative source. I know that this power exists in me, as me, through me, as it does each one of us here and each one watching. We are each just unique manifestations of this one divine energy, sparks of this one creative flame. And we are here on this planet to know that, to remember that, and to demonstrate that in all we think, do, and say. And so right here, right now, I acknowledge my work as love. I acknowledge that each one here has been fed and has grown their consciousness in such a way as to expand and let go of any resistance that keeps them from knowing their oneness with God, that keeps them from truly loving their work, from knowing that their work is love. I am so blessed to know this teaching, to have this experience, to be here in consciousness with all of you, where we get to pray together, to live together, to laugh together, and to experience life as a beautiful spiritual community. I am so grateful for all who participated, for all who join us in consciousness, whether in person or online, and I am grateful to be of service. And so with this grateful heart, I release this word into this ever-loving and present law that can only say yes, knowing that as I speak it, truly believe, and so it must be, and so it must be. I invite you to join me by saying, so it is. Blessings all. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful Sunday. Oh, and if you could just leave the magazines on the table on your way out, that would be awesome. The